here we go.
All right. There you go. There you go. Thanks. All right. Let's do this. Yeah. Where's Alex at?
Awesome. Thank you.
Sam? I said, where's Alex at? I'm Alex. Oh, really? Wait. The other one was Sam? Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. She was assisting. I'm actually primary on this. Okay. I totally had you guys mixed up. That's okay.
Probably already Thursday
I was kind
there,
of
correct?
Out of it, so yeah. Oh, I think everybody was a little bit that day. Yeah. So it's formality. She signed this the first night. Okay. I'm gonna have you do it again tonight, just that way we're all in understanding. I know your attorney's here. This is your statement of rights, okay? Okay. Oh, thank you. Sure. Do I check all of these? Yeah, initial them for me. Okay. I like your necklace. Thank you. It's actually a locket. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, what's the date?
I'm sure the tone is going to be very, very different in this interview, as now she has her lawyer sitting next to her, and you can see that she's much better dressed. Her hair is one color. I'm sure those are all suggestions by the lawyer. I just find it interesting, when people are into a serious situation, that they kind of clean themselves up, clean their image, just to kind of make them look a little bit, cleaner going into something that potentially could, affect the rest of their life. So.
Nice. Jeez. I don't even know what to do with this year. Yeah. And if you want to sign as one of the witnesses, and I'll sign as the other. She's fancy pens and all.
All right, here we go.
Can make some of those here that way. Anybody asks?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, everything.
All right. So let's just dive right into this. That way we can get you guys on your way, and we'll go from there. Do you have any questions for me before we start? Either of you? No. How's your day? It's been busy. Yeah. How have you been since? Busy and depressed. Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. You've had a
funny how her voice has changed too.
Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah. That more than anything. Not really. Just a lot of press, a lot of hatred, a lot of kill yourselves. People are horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm just trying my best. That's all you can do, really. Like the change in color of hair. Is that your natural? That was that was what I got the most hate on. So
it's funny that that was pointed out by the police.
Like, it's just hair. Don't change it, guys. Yeah. So you want to know something really totally off topic, but when I was in high school, I was a hostess at Hooters, and they told me that I had to dye my hair brown or blonde. Yeah, because red was a unnatural color hair.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's like,
Jeez.
no, thank you. Hair colors, just temporary.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Susan, I don't know if you have Hooters in Australia, but if you look up how Hooters girls would dress in the restaurant, it's pretty scantily clad, and I just found it was very interesting that she shared that information with these complete strangers.
It's like, red is my natural color. Like,
that's weird.
No thanks, but it was, back then there was a whole different environment.
Yeah.
Only now
natural boobs too at Hooters, right?
Yeah, there you go. No. I mean,
Sorry.
to each their own.
Yeah, no,
I would say that Albuquerque is not really the market.
For real.
Good.
That's true.
You know, experience.
Mhm.
I don't think there was anything else that I had. Are you still living in Arizona?
Yeah, I currently am, kind of like mostly leaving the state right now just because the press was getting nasty and everything, and it kind of dulled down after I left my house and everything. But yeah, other than that, just kind of came here and trying to stay out of the small town right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's hard to hide there from the press at least. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's having a hard time with that. It seems like the only person that's been able to avoid them mostly is Mr. Halls.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Crazy.
which is interesting because I'm pretty sure he's local.
Yeah, he's local, I believe, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, Alec is getting bombarded every day too.
Vermont.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we can just, you know,
Get
proceed
past
with
all
this
of
and
that.
then,
Yeah.
like, it amazes me with the events that went on this past weekend, that it's, like,
The
That's-
Texas, yeah, that was terrible.
Astroworld,
Oh, it's
Oh,
terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
and like, how is that whole thing not,
Blown up like this?
yeah.
No. I guess not.
All right, Hannah, so let's start out, I'm gonna kind of go over your, experience again, okay? So can you tell me your years of experience as an armorer?
Okay, so pretty much, mostly really started taking on this armor job in March with my dad. We did the movie Murder at Immigrant Gulch together, on the same team. I was his assistant. And then I did my own job as head armor on the Old Way after that. And then after that, I did this, you know. And before that, I had gone on a couple of things with my dad, mostly doing production assistant work, but also still kind of watching him and still kind of learning from him on the side.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I did Magnificent Seven like back in 2015, and we were out there for like 2 months, and I was learning a lot from him then too.
okay, so pretty much just assisting.
That's fire. It's your boy Artisan.
Him
Yeah,
from
assisting.
2015 until,
Yeah, pretty much. Just, and also, well, not like consistently either, because I was in college for a lot of that time.
okay.
Yeah, so for a lot of, before this, I was in college, so not really able to do the whole film set thing.
Okay, what'd you go to college for?
I went to college for communications and film.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also took a lot of art classes too.
So how many, productions now do you have under your belt?
3 cinema, whatchamacallit, about 7.
7.
7, yeah, and then also I did a bunch in college, you know.
And then how many with you as head armor?
Head armor, just 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the.
This,
the
Rust, and the Old Way, yeah.
Okay. How long did you spend on the Old Way?
We did that for a month and a week.
This is like not that much time.
Not that much time,
And
no. But it was only me doing the guns on it. So it was me, 22 guns, doing all of the loading and everything myself.
Okay. Anything negative or anything happened on that set?
Nick Cage got a little pissy because he forgot to put in his earplugs.
Okay.
Yeah, and then other people were talking about the random
Hear me now?
firings that apparently weren't called out or anything, but I called those out actually, and it really comes down to a miscommunication between, I
I think I
told
had
the
my mute button
AD
on.
who's supposed
No, I
to
was
spin the
talking
dials.
about, if you didn't hear me, you said, if I find her dad worked on the Crow, I'm getting a tinfoil hat. And I said, it's interesting you said that because, obviously it was very tragic what happened to Brandon Lee. And I remember reading an article, I believe, in Time Magazine about what happened on the set, because we obviously didn't have YouTube and stuff like that back then, or access to the internet. And that's when people actually read magazines and, articles and stuff like that. But I remember reading an article, I think it was Time Magazine, and it was just tragic, absolutely tragic what happened. And it's crazy that they went on to actually finish the movie and they're going to actually finish this movie as well too. I think they're actually still actively shooting it right now, which is just, it's crazy. All right, we'll move on
To
here.
the other channels and let them know that there's going to be live fire, and he didn't spin the dials.
So like radio communication?
Yeah,
Pretty
so
much.
our walkie-talkies and everything, yeah, once I tell them that we're like going hot and everything, then he's supposed to spin the dials and let every different one know.
Okay.
So he forgot to do that twice on that.
But any, like misfires, accidental discharges, anything of the sort?
No accidental discharges and no misfires actually.
Okay. What about any official training
It's
that you've
crazy.
done? In regards
Official
to,
traiing, not really much official training.
so just,
I was planning on getting my,
So this is where, going back to BC, saying, I know where the charges, spent, are coming from. Here you go, right here. This person is not even trained to be an armorer. What the hell was she doing on that set? You know what it was? They had a certain budget. They wanted to cut a lot of cost. I bet you somebody knew somebody that knew somebody that knew her dad and said, oh, well, we'll get someone over here. We can get her really cheap, pay her a couple of grand. She'll come over and do the movie. She's apprenticed with her dad. That's probably what we're going to really find out here in the trial, if this does go to trial. But that's what I think.
my
Definitely.
concealed carry
not any
permit
training.
pretty soon. But I
Yeah,
haven't
exactly,
gotten there yet.
Susan.
okay. For what you do as an armorer, does this job require to use like specific tools when you're doing inspections on weapons?
So I don't really do the inspections on weapons too much. I'm not a gunsmith by any means,
Unreal.
I get them from Seth.
I mean, this is not good. And she has a lawyer there right there. This is not adding up well.
Maintenance them and everything. I was cleaning a couple of them, and a couple of them did have some issues that I couldn't figure out. So I sent them back to Seth, and he sent them back to me, and they were okay.
Okay. So any type of like malfunction or anything that you came across would go?
Yeah.
You're talking about Seth Kenny, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I sent back one of the guns because the hammer was pulled back and it wouldn't release back down. And I don't know, he said something about I cleaned it wrong or something. I'm not sure. But I cleaned 17 other pistols that day, so I don't know how I did that one wrong.
Okay. Do you remember which one that was?
That was actually one of Miller's guns and not related to the incident really, but Miller was one of the deputies and just one of his, the hammer got stuck back and I've never encountered that before, so went ahead and sent it back.
Okay. So
I
as
agree,
far as
Susan.
like the movie productions go,
Yeah, and the lawyer
do they
is
require you
absolutely
to
BC.
have any certifications to work? And it can be like anything.
I'm not really sure
100%.
entirely, just because most of the jobs I've gotten have just been like through word of mouth
There you
and
go.
everything, or
I just said it, word of mouth.
Seth works on getting them for me, or my dad gets them for me.
There you
or
go.
My dad.
I just made these points, and again, as I said at the beginning of the show, I have not watched what I'm trying to do here on this show is any interrogation video that I'm going to watch, it's going to be a video that I haven't watched yet because I want my reactions obviously to be organic, and I want this experience to be organic when we watch these.
Got me on as his assistant the first time,
There you go.
so I'm not really sure entirely what they are looking for. I know that they get a firearms license and everything, and a license for the area to shoot on and everything. But they usually get that. I don't even get that usually, so I'm not really sure in terms of what else. I know that Seth always
She
tells
doesn't
me
even have a firearms license, and she's handling guns. She's in a lot of trouble. She's going to be in a
that
lot of
I'm on
trouble.
his
And the sad thing about it too is, I have to look at it this way, and I see if you guys agree with me on this one. I think Baldwin is going to probably end up slithering his way out of this one because of, money buys freedom. She's the one that's going to go down hard, and it's sad. I think it's just tragic. I think it's tragic all around, but I guarantee you she's the one that's going to really get hit hard. Baldwin will probably, if it goes to trial, Baldwin could get a little bit of time, but he's not going to get as much as she will. She's going to probably do 5 years. We know Baldwin's up against 5 years. She's going to end up doing 5 years. Baldwin will probably do a year, or maybe 90 days and pay some huge fine. And you have to keep in mind too, criminally, they're going to handle that. But when they go after him civilly, and if he's found criminally, he's done. They're going to get everything out of him. Let's continue.
license to work with these weapons, and
Yeah,
that's all
exactly,
I really know.
Susan.
And that's kind of the same with Sarah, right?
Yeah, not really sure what that's ever meant. Seth always just says Hannah and Sarah are on my license.
Okay. But as far as like you go, there's no,
No one really asks about much of that.
like you don't have to take safety classes in regards to anything with movie sets.
So that's the thing. I was actually just getting into the union, and with the union and everything, because on this set they hired me non-union. But normally with the unions, you take a safety course, you
Yeah.
take a sexual harassment course, and you take a few different things.
Did you hear what he was trying to do today, BC? Try to put an emotion to move the prosecutor off the case because the prosecutor is a Republican and makes laws in that state. So he's trying to dismiss it, saying that it's unjust, that he's not going to get a fair trial because we know where he politically stands. And the funny thing is, too, I was a huge Baldwin fan back in the 80s and 90s. And then, the minute he started politically opening his mouth, I didn't really like him too much anymore after that. But yeah, if you haven't read, look that up. Oh, you have heard about it. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I had literally
special
just
prosecutor.
gotten the paperwork and everything to get in that. And you need 30 union days on a union show before you can do that. And so I had 22 before this job. And so a lot of the days from this job were going to count towards that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I wasn't even able to get that. But other than that, the whole industry doesn't really require anything. It's mostly just California or union. And I wasn't union.
Okay.
We got 16 dead bodies in a very shipping container. This is a serial
I mean,
killing
as you can
effort.
see by any of the, if you've watched any of my political videos on my channel, you can kind of see where I stand. I politically stand. I do lean right.
It wasn't
I'm
I
not a
obviously
church
have to
goer or
have
anything
that.
like that.
Yeah, no,
And
totally.
I'm the type of person that whatever you want to do with your life is your own business. Who you want to be with is your own business. That's kind of where I stand. But, I tend to lean, right, more conservative.
Every year I got to take driving courses. And
I think that, people should have the right to own a gun, be financially conservative in their moves. I like small government. I don't like big government. I cannot stand Joe Biden. I cannot stand what he's doing in this country right now. You have to think 4 years prior to when he was in, There was not one world war. We're all on the verge of world war right now with this Ukraine and Russia. I cannot believe that the United States is giving billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine right now. What is the special interest there? What is going on? You know, uh, um, it's just crazy. Chinese weather balloons over the United States. Like, what the fuck? I mean, not weather balloons, spy balloons. It's like, come on, man. Like, what's going on here?
Everything like that.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, Rust didn't really ask me anything about that. They kind of just
Susan says, I understand nothing of your politics, let alone Aussies. They've always just started teaching. They've just only started teaching about it in the schools. Yeah. Well, it gets nuts here.
converted all through
Yes.
Texas.
Our culture has changed a lot over the last 10 years.
So I heard that you were hired to do a couple jobs on this set.
Yes.
Can you talk about or tell me about both of them?
Okay, so like originally when I got on the set, I have always done.
So BC says, most of us in the South are freedomists, freedom for all, let your freak flag fly. Don't ask me to fly your flag. I'll fly my own. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just do what you want as long as it's not hurting me or hurting anybody else. I don't care. But the policies and the wokeness and all that stuff that they're trying to kind of shove down all of our throats right now, I don't agree with it. She says Susan says it's like Armageddon with all the earthquakes, as well as when you scroll through the phone. Exactly.
Armor kind of really separate from props. Like I'm always with props, but we do it ourselves, me and my dad, and props doesn't really interfere. This is the only job that I've taken where I was heavily incorporated into props, and it's because originally they had hired me for armor and key prop assistant. And that's not just like prop assistant, that's the key prop assistant. So that means more responsibility. That means I'm Sarah's second.
Okay.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So if there's an issue with props, you go with Sarah, and then if there's an issue where Sarah can't.
I don't advocate marijuana. I think marijuana is stupid. I'm not a drinker. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I live a very healthy lifestyle. My father did all of that stuff. I have a very close relationship with my mother. Look at this. We're having therapy session right now. I have a very, very, very strong relationship with my mother. I don't talk with my father much. I think the advocacy of marijuana is just another stupid fucking government thing that they're trying to push down everybody's throats. They're basically stealing your tax money to use tax money for their special interest. I'm sure all that marijuana tax money is fucking funding the Ukraine war right now. And you believe that? It's just stupid. It's just another thing to put out there to legalize, to make people submit to the government and be stupid. And this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but that's kind of where I stand with that stuff.
Isn't there, then it goes to me, and then we have our assistant Nicole.
So
So I
have
had
opinions here because
my job is
we're
with
all
armor,
opinionated
and
idiots.
originally I thought that I was mostly going to be doing my armor job and kind of left alone to do that. But after the first week, I got talked to
I believe so.
by some people
I would agree,
in production, and they were told that I wasn't really pulling my weight in props. So
it's really
basically, I
heavy
was
on the
told
armor.
that I needed to shift my focus
I
less
agree.
on armor and more on props.
And I live in an extremely liberal state. The state of Massachusetts is very, very liberal, and it's getting worse. And to be, a conservative here in Massachusetts is very rare. It's very hard to find people that have very similar interest in things that you agree with. It's sad that we're here in the United States, it's very political here now. And what side of the aisle you stand on really matters to people. That's a big thing. Everything is so hyper polarized now. It's very political. So
Who do they expect to
So I appreciate these conversations. This
I
is
don't
cool.
know.
This is
They told me, they said, yeah, we hear that you're taking your armor job very seriously, but we need you to support props right now because props is also struggling. And I was like, okay, I'll try my best to do that. And they said, normally before that, I would kind of just hang out in the prop truck and like, you know, work on the guns and just kind of be in there doing my own stuff if there weren't any guns on set. But after that, they had told me like, no, we want you on set. We want you as a present on set for props.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Let's see. Susan says, I agree, as I'm on the prescription cannabis for severe arthritis, and it's completely different than a stoner weed. And you can't tell me, making it legal doesn't affect how much I have to pay. And then BC says, we've heard about mass. It's gross how US is politified. Yeah, is politicized now. Yeah, I mean, listen, my whole thing is that people can, have their whole idea on weed. That's your own thing. Susan, if that helps you, I admire that. I'm glad that it works for you. I just don't advocate for it. I think that it's been very politicized. I think the tax money that comes out of that is being used for special interests here in the United States. I don't believe that it goes back. I mean, for some of the richest states that are, what was it? Colorado, when it was I think they were the first state to legalize weed. And in that first year, they made something like $60 million in tax money from marijuana, and only like a percentage of it actually went back to the community. And that's actually a point that was talked about on Joe Rogan's podcast. They talked about that, and it's like, well, where's all that money going? But yeah, Susan, hey, if it works for you, by all means, it's your body. You can do whatever you want with it. And again, if it works for you,
was split up quite a bit.
Can you give me some examples of what you would do, like when you were assisting
I
props?
told you about
Okay,
it.
yeah. So
Tell the world.
normally, I kind of
Sure.
for the saloon scene, I would just kind of be standing there, watching
Like I
over
said,
the
that's
guns
all
and
your
everything,
thing.
checking them for the actors.
Everybody can have their thoughts on it. I have my thoughts. I respect, and I'm open to opinions. By all means, we don't have to agree. We don't have to all agree. It's okay.
The actors, that's just my job as the armor. With the saloon and everything, I'm pouring drinks for props. I'm running outside and rolling cigarettes. I'm like doing several different things and grabbing several different props and setting props up constantly. And so, yeah, when some scenes aren't exactly super prop heavy and sometimes they're just kind of gun heavy. And so in that case, I can like focus more on the guns. But sometimes I was split between running the guns and also dealing with the props. But Nicole, the assistant, tried to help alleviate that a little bit, but not every, she was pretty green, so had to step in a lot.
All right, we got a commercial. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly I thought that I was there doing props at the beginning just to help find everything because we got hired on a week before. Normally you hire a prop master a month in advance.
I mean, this is clearly showing the disarray that happened on this movie set. There was no leadership. There was no preparation. This thing was completely thrown together, and this is why people got hurt. This is why someone died. And as I'm hearing more about this and seeing more of what's going on in these interrogations, I think a lot of people are going to go on hard. I really do.
Man, Sarah got brought on a week before. I got brought on a little after her. And so we were just kind of running around that first week trying to find props. And then I thought after that, after she got the assistant, I'd be able to focus more on the guns. But
so BC says, gun question. It's strange that only one live round was loaded. I can see if the wrong gun was used with all the live rounds, but only one makes me curious. Yeah, it is strange. Again, I mean, I think there was reports that people, there was live ammunition on set. I think there were reports of people shooting beer cans in between takes, so maybe something got messed up. There was some reports that, and I'm not implicating anything, but I think there was some reports that Alec had a fight with Halyna at dinner one night. Uh, and there was some speculation out there that he planted this and planned to do it. And again, I'm not saying that he did that. I'm just saying that's, some of the reports that were out there that I read. When did this actually occur again? This was back in 2021, I believe. Let's see. It was on October 21st, 2021. So yeah, we're almost 2 years, pretty close to 2 years.
Then production
Year and a
talked to
half.
me and said that I needed to focus more on props. So,
Okay. And who from production?
Gabrielle Pickle, and also the head of the art department, Brian. Mostly, yeah, Sarah just said that I couldn't really support props in the way needed, so they were talking about possibly taking.
You may
I
be
was
right.
talking to them, and I was like, well, do you not want me to do props at all in this case and just focus on the guns? And they were like, no, like, we don't want Nicole stepping up and taking your position. We want you to step into this position, and we think it's a great opportunity for you. But really, I just got to do 2 jobs for less pay.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you feel about the added responsibility?
It was a lot, but I'm super eager. And when someone kind of says, you can do this, like, then I'm just like, okay, now I have to show
This
them.
girl should not have been on set doing the job that she was in charge to do.
Like, I can do this, So ultimately, it was frustrating, but at the same time, I was like, all right, got to go and kick ass and props now, I guess, too.
Yeah. Did you ever have, like, any time that specifically pointed out to you where you felt overwhelmed by doing the
Well, props, we were told a lot, that we were kind of lagging, and, like, the wranglers would kind of shit on us for not propping up horses soon enough, or, like, not getting actors propped up soon enough. So props was definitely struggling. And then after that talk I had with Brian, I went to Sarah and I was like, I'm not, like, pulling my weight, And I tried to talk to her about it, and she was like, yeah, I didn't mean to, like, be a jerk about it. I just wanted to let them know that I needed more help in the department. And so we talked about it, and I was like, well, that's cool. Just maybe next time go ahead and talk to me first before going to Brian and Gabrielle.
Do you know why they didn't utilize Nicole more?
We definitely did utilize Nicole, but ultimately I have a very strong personality. And also, a lot of the times, like, my personality would even be stronger than Sarah's in a lot of respects. And a lot of people were already kind of gaining respect for me, like, in terms of, like, the wranglers and everything. And I'm just good at meshing with other departments,
Okay.
So they wanted me on set more just to kind of, be a presence of props and really, kind of just be a demanding force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever express to them at any point if you felt overwhelmed? Or
after that, I thought we were doing pretty good of managing both. There were some days, where I would talk to Sarah and I was like she would be like, could you come out here and see what's going on with me? And I was like, no, dude, I need to, like, focus on guns, and I need to pull guns for later on. And she would be like, well, you're the second. I think you should be here with me on set to watch this. And I was like, there's not a lot of props out there. I'm going to be here
Yeah,
doing the
exactly.
guns.
I agree, BC.
So there was a couple of times, but I also kind of really held my ground on not, spreading myself too incredibly thin.
or getting overran by
Yeah.
others?
Yeah, exactly. Because you kind of just have to, but ultimately with higher positions, sometimes you get ran over.
Okay. Who hired you for Rust?
I believe, I'm not really sure. Steph just texted me and he's like, you got the job, prop assistant, so-and-so. I sent him my resume and they Sarah sent it in, and I think Roe approved it. And yeah, so Sarah hired me. Roe approved it.
Okay, so it's not like a typical hiring process for a job where you have to go in and.
Yeah, no, there's no real interviews like any time in film. Film's a very weird industry.
So just to give you a little bit of perspective here, the Rust budget for that movie was $6 to $7.3 million. And that's not a lot of money in today's making movie. And that, and it's saying that Baldwin was paid $250,000. And let's see, Alec Baldwin's Rust salary revealed as $250,000, while head armorer Halyna Gutierrez Reed earned less than $8,000. The budget for Rust has been revealed in the wake of the on-set fatal shooting that claimed the life of Western films cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. So it was about a $6 million budget. That's not a lot of money. You know, that's where they cut a lot of cost. That's why they got this girl. Oh, you know, her dad was in the industry. It was word of mouth, blah, blah, blah. Let's bring her over here. Da, 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 da. That's why she's here. And they paid her peanuts. They paid her peanuts.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth by all means. I think it's so weird how like secretive it is almost, you know, like it's really hard to get on anything unless you know somebody. And if you stop working for a while, it's like almost hard to jump back in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird. You can't just like look up like film jobs in your area and then go and apply. That's not a thing. Yeah. I really wish it was kind of like that. That would probably, yeah, that'd be a lot better. But right now there's just such a media surge, especially that, you know, they're just kind of getting on anyone that they can bring really, because the media surge with all of these different, like the networks and everything coming out with their own little internet things, it's making everything like boom right now, like crazy.
Yeah. I know you.
So BC's asking, do you guys think the negligence is criminal from the top down? I do. Not saying they deserve 5 years, but definitely some months of quiet time to reflect and further show guns show guns are to be respected. I completely agree. I think it is from the top down. That's why Baldwin, being the producer of this movie, is ultimately responsible for everything that happened on that set. He should know all of the operations that were going on. He should know all the people that were on set at the time, what their jobs and duties were. He was not even present on that set till I think the day of shooting, and he should have been there, I believe, 2 weeks before, or at least checking in 2 weeks before, that some reports were saying. So that's ultimately why he is being held ultimately responsible right now. I think that as far as the time, I have no problem with the sentence. I think 5 years is well enough time, but what I don't want you to do is because, you know, oh, he's a celebrity or he's someone that's famous, you know, he's just as guilty as if it was just me or you, like, you know, us normal people, are the everyday people. So keep that in mind. You know, he's negligently responsible, or he acted negligently in his actions of what happened on that set. And he was negligent in not checking that firearm before he pulled that trigger. You know, I've said this before, no matter what, in any gun safety training, when someone hands you a gun, you automatically always think that that gun is loaded. That you have to check it. And I just noticed I spelt notification wrong on my little track, my little screener down there. I was just looking. Susan says that's exactly right. And he's taking advantage as much as he can based on his fame. Absolutely. Let's keep playing through.
You talked about how you were in the process of
Notification.
becoming a union member.
Yeah.
With which union?
I was working on becoming a union member with the local 44.
Okay.
That's the oldest and longest established union, and it's also the one that my dad's a part of, so.
Is that like international or?
I'm not really entirely sure. I know it's mostly California. You know, each union is kind of specific to the area. Yeah, I think that one is the most put together one, and it's definitely the most active one, which is why I was trying to be a part of it. And I had already actually started the
All stops
kind of
starts at the
OSHA
home.
safety one
All starts
a
with
little
the
bit
parents.
after this, actually. So I had already been starting that
Okay.
because I just got in like a little bit before that into the program.
Okay.
hmm
So as far as your employment on Rust, were you hired on a contract, or how?
I
like,
was
how do
hired.
they determine?
I was hired on a contract, yeah. You know, the contract wasn't really specific to the job per se. The contract was just like regular employee contract. Jason has a copy of it.
Okay. Is there any way I can get a copy?
Sure, yeah, I'll send that.
Yeah.
Amazing the
Besides
lawyer's letting her
you and Sarah and Nicole, were there any other armorers or prop masters or anybody brought onto the set at any time?
I don't believe so. Not anyone brought on the set. I don't really know if Seth ever came to set, but he was the mentor on the paperwork and everything, and he was like where we got most of our stuff from.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no one else ever worked with you guys? They didn't do like a late hire?
Oh, so they did bring in one girl for swing shift, but I don't even know if she ever made it to set or if she just met up with Sarah outside of set.
Okay.
But yeah, we had finally, week 2 is coming around and we told them like, it's getting crazy busy. We can't have Sarah leaving set to go find these things. So they brought in a day player that could run around and go find things for us.
Okay.
Because before that, Sarah had to leave set a lot of the time. Oh, that also contributed to spreading us thin for a little while there. That's why they brought in the third person, because ultimately Sarah would have to leave set pretty much every day for several hours, and then it would just be me out there.
And what would Sarah go do at that time?
Sarah would go try to find props, because with them bringing her in a week, you know, it's hard to find like a weird Indian axe, you know, like there's a bunch of weird, obscure things for a period piece that are super hard to find. So she would go try to find them, meet up with other prop masters in the area and see if they had them.
Do you know who that fourth was?
You know, I think her name was Jade.
Jade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was hoping for her to come more on set, but yeah, they just hired her as a day player every now and then.
Okay.
Get 20% off dentures at Aspen Dental. Schedule your consultation today.
Okay, so as far as, and I know some of this that we've talked about before, some of it might be a little bit redundant,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
just trying to cover all bases. So again, who provides the ammo?
So as far as I'm concerned, me and Sarah, we went together and we picked up the ammunition and all the weapons and my leathers from Seth Kinney in Albuquerque at his shop. Yeah, we got 2 boxes of ammo, I'm pretty sure, that day. And then as we went on in the show, there were a couple of times that we needed more. So Sarah and I would text him, you know, that we needed more, and occasionally Sarah brought in more ammo from Seth.
Okay. Those 2 boxes that were originally supplied, were they blanks or dummies?
Originally supplied.
You said that you picked up 2 boxes of ammo.
Oh yeah, so I
Or
think
do
there
you
were
mean like boxes like the white boxes?
no, they
or
were like bigger boxes.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, no, a lot of them were. There wasn't a lot of dummies in those really much at all. There were some dummies.
Yeah, so BC, so the first interrogation I played was day of the shooting. This is weeks after. Obviously now, you know, you can see she's cleaned up. She has her lawyer with her. Yeah, they know at this point that she passed, that Halyna had passed.
Dummies, you know, like obscure dummies that we couldn't really get, like the 50, 70 rounds, you know. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Those are big rounds. They go in the trapdoor. So we had some of those dummies with it. But in terms of 45 long Colt dummies, I don't think there was a lot of dummies in there. And so I asked Seth about it, and I said, hey, like, where's all the long Colt dummies? Because the 45, you know, 45 ammo is, like, different than 45 long Colt. So we didn't exactly, I couldn't find that. So he told me to check the dummies that I had from the last show because he got me those ones and everything. And so I went back through a bag that I had. This bag had like a bunch of loose dummies in it. And I went through and I checked all of them and I put them into 2 boxes. And so we had 2 boxes of 45 long Colt dummies that were mine from the last show. Originally.
Cage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had just brought those off of the old way and they were in my car
Well, she's got
for
the
like 2
security of that
weeks. I
lawyer.
jumped
being
right off of
there.
the old way into this. I was barely home for like a week.
That's
So,
okay.
yeah.
But he told you to check your supply
Yeah,
and what you had to take it.
yeah.
So he authorized you to bring,
He authorized me to bring, dummies.
okay.
And then also, there was one time where he didn't give us any eighth loads, and I had 1 box of eighth loads, and so I was like, I'm gonna use my box
Be
of
right
eighth
back. You
loads,
use the restroom.
put it on the invoice, and I would have received money for that.
For
Okay.
blanks.
For blanks, yeah. Eighth load blanks.
Okay. Did you ever get recompensated for this?
No, I don't really plan on it, given the circumstances, because usually that goes through Seth, and then Seth kicks me down with whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how many rounds, and 2 boxes is, kind of hard for us to, we're just trying to understand. So how many rounds would you say were supplied at the beginning?
You know, mind if I check my phone really quick? I think Seth, sent me a picture of, it written on cardboard or something.
Okay.
Or actually, if you look at the boxes, I think the boxes,
On the flap?
yeah, on the flap should say it.
Okay.
Did you see that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's okay, that's what Seth showed me. So that same thing, that's what should have all been in there.
Okay. And so you and Sarah picked it up at the beginning
Yeah,
of production,
yeah.
from Albuquerque, brought it to set, and then.
Yeah, but we couldn't exactly bring it to set right away because they hadn't had the prop truck ready for us. So we had to leave it. You know, she has the guns in her car in Albuquerque. I have the ammo in my trunk at the hotel, and then we just took them to set the next day.
Okay, so it was less than.
Overnight, yeah, just
24-hour
overnight.
period. It was multiple days that's
Multiple days of what?
I was just gonna say, for Sarah to keep all those in her vehicle in Albuquerque, that's a
Okay.
bold move.
Well, and it was only one night, and she had a garage.
Okay,
So that's why she was like, do you want them to go with you or me? And I was like, you have a garage, you know?
Albuquerque though.
Oh, Albert,
Yeah.
I know, I told her. So he was all like, get those and get out, and I was like, hell yeah.
So when you guys brought additional rounds on the set, or additional boxes, or needed more, how did those get delivered?
Sarah brought them in most of the
Okay.
time. I never saw Seth after the first time that I saw him before the show.
Okay, so did Sarah, do you know if she went and picked them up from Albuquerque, or how did she get them?
She lived in Albuquerque, so most of the time she would just run and grab them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not sure if she got any more from anyone else. I had heard that some of the dummies were borrowed from someone. I don't know. She said, don't lose any of these because we have to give them back. And I was like, okay, they fall out of the gun belt and everything, but I'll try not to lose them.
Okay. And then, how much did you supply of your own?
Of my own dummies?
Yeah.
Just the 2. And we mostly went through those right away just because
Ooh.
2 boxes, 2 of the little boxes. Not like big boxes, just the little boxes. And yeah, I had 2 of those, and most of mine had the no primer caps, the ones I showed you, remember?
Is it the ones that are indented in?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of those were mine, and then also I had a multitude of the ones with holes and the ones you shake. So yeah, and I checked those all, and I put them into 2 things,
Okay.
myself, yeah.
Do you remember what those boxes look like?
Yeah, I do. They usually say JS on them.
Okay.
This is one that my dad sent me. And mine are usually beat up pretty bad. Like they're
Okay.
very dirty and gross, usually.
Okay. Do you know what the JS stands for in them?
Joe Swanson.
Okay. Have you met Joe?
I have not, but him and my dad are pretty good friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as ammo goes, who has access?
They stay.
I can't
They
see
stay in the truck,
timestamp.
like on, the
Fill me
only
in.
thing
Did I
that's in the
miss it?
safe
Was I
is
using the
guns.
restroom?
So yeah, pretty much. I don't know if they locked the prop truck at night or what happened with that, but yeah. So pretty much just me, Nicole.
I did hear her say that she got some rounds from somewhere where they didn't know where they came from, and they were like, "Don't lose those." Like, what the hell?
Sarah, and the first week we did share that prop truck with locations.
Okay.
But other than that, the prop truck, would kind of be open most days just because we're running in and out of there. And sometimes, ammo is underneath on our cart, just
Lack of
chilling there usually.
professionalism.
like on the floor of the
On the
truck?
of the
Or on-
cart.
Okay. On
Yeah.
the second shelf.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I usually try to keep it down there.
So all the ammo is pretty much out in the open.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, unless it wasn't like taken out directly of the boxes or anything, then yeah, the ones that are out there are out in the open pretty much regularly.
okay. And they never get locked up in a safe.
No.
Okay. Were all the guns provided by Seth?
Yes.
And who has access to the guns?
Sarah and I believe Nicole kind of knew the code, but I don't think she remembered it most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever remove the guns from the safe?
I had her put them away sometimes,
Okay.
mostly just because I couldn't leave set.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does anybody watch her do that?
No, not really.
Is she allowed to?
Mostly somebody has to lock them up and they shouldn't be on set. So, Sarah or I would give her permission to go over there and just put them in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's something that you guys are allowed to do, is give someone else permission. to
I
lock
would
them
think for a prop assistant, yeah.
up. Okay.
She only put them away ever.
So who all has the ability to lock the safe?
I mean, anyone that has arms, can close it,
Is that you don't have to punch in the code again to lock it?
No.
So you turn the knob and it's done?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the truck? Who has the ability to lock the truck?
None of us lock the truck ever. We figured that's kind of like Transco's job. We don't.
Let me see something. I'm gonna Google. All right, so she died on the 21st. So she died on the day of set, but she I don't think was pronounced dead at the scene. That's why they life flighted her out of there. So I'm assuming the first interrogation video and her name's Hannah. Her name just totally slipped my mind. Probably didn't know because they basically got her out of there pretty quickly after. I think she sat around for about an hour. They got her out and took her down to do the interrogation. So she probably had no idea. You know, you got to think of the chaotic moment that's gone on that day. You know, there's so much going on. Someone was shot. There's police all over the place. People are asking questions. So I don't think that she would have been aware at that point. Obviously, she is now because there's a couple.
I don't have
later.
locks for the trucks normally.
But it's very weird. That she's very
I know
relaxed.
some prop masters lock up their own trucks, but yeah,
And I
not
would
really
think
sure. We
almost
kind
she
of just
feels
close ours
relaxed
up
because
every
of the
day.
security of the lawyer being there. We got another.
Do you know?
I don't know
Another
if Transpo ever locked
13
it.
minutes
Okay.
here.
Do you know who was in charge of that
The
truck?
evening. It's getting late here. on
Not
the coast.
specifically. I don't remember his name.
It was a male though.
I have
Yeah.
work tomorrow.
Can you describe him?
He was a sweet old Hispanic man with a nice mustache.
Okay.
Nice.
Heavy set, midweight,
Midweight.
and he was the one primarily in charge of that truck.
Towards like the second week, yeah. Before that, we kind of just had random people moving it, and then eventually he got assigned to us pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the morning when you got there, was it ever locked up?
No.
Yeah, I was saying that
So you just
Hannah, this
walk
young lady
in.
here,
Walked in
name
and
that's
pulled the handle.
Hannah
What about the back of it? I know Scott was
Gutierrez
big.
Reed.
Yeah, that's what we normally did. Yeah, we just closed up the side and we would unlock the handle. We figured it was usually getting watched by security.
Do they just have security, and it's okay if you don't know, but do they just have security at that front gate there, or do they have?
I know that I've seen some security around other parts of set, like just in a car, but that was mostly after the incident and everything, and it was just a car near the church.
Okay,
So that's really all I know about the security measures.
all right. So you'd say, as far as ammo goes, it is common to have it outside of that safe?
Yeah, no, it's super common to have it outside of the safe.
Okay. Who loads the ammo into the guns?
Me and Sarah.
Okay, you both load them.
Yeah.
And who loads ammo into, like, the bandoliers or the belts and?
That's me and Sarah again. I think Nicole helped us a couple of times shaking them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever, like, actually load them, or did she just shake
Into
them and
the-
say they're good?
And she would shake them and put them into the belt with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how often, or should I say, when did you guys put the ammo in the bandoliers?
A lot of them already had it in there. So from the last Nick Cage set and everything. So still check those ones out and everything. But we, of course, had a couple more that we had to like switch around and everything. So mostly the whole first week we were switching them around. And then after that, we did have a couple more characters come in with different, waist sizes. So we would have to like put them in other belts too.
So some of these belts already had rounds in them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember which one?
No. They mostly got switched around a lot, and a lot of them fell out pretty regularly out
The
of the,
rounds in them?
yeah, the dummy rounds would fall out sometimes just because when they're riding the horses, they jiggle out.
Okay.
So you regularly have to put more in them.
So since some of this ammo came from another production, was the ammo in those belts ever checked?
Yeah.
So you guys physically removed them from the belt?
Yeah.
And checked them?
Yes.
Okay. And who all did the checking?
That was me. That was involved in the 2 boxes that I did.
At the beginning?
Yes.
All right. So when ammo's not being used, then does it ever go back in a box? Does it stay?
When ammo's not being used, if it's about to be used, it's there on the bottom of the cart. Like if we're gonna get into it later that day, we don't really have time to run back to the truck. So we usually keep it right there if we're shooting that day. If we're not shooting that day, it doesn't really come on set. I'll usually bring like maybe a box of quarter loads just in case they randomly decide that they want to shoot something, because they'll change their minds last minute, and then you have to be prepared for that.
Who's they?
Directors, actors, whoever just like feels like, maybe I should be shooting right now, kind of.
Okay. So when you go to unload the belts or the guns, anything of the sort, does it go back in the box?
The
It
belts?
proved-
The
Like,
ammo?
we don't ever take,
proved that the only way that for that gun to fire was to pull the trigger. They've proved it.
once the dummies are on the belt, they stay on the belt, and the belts just get hung in the prop truck.
Okay.
Like, yeah. And then, for the guns and everything, yeah, we take all the dummies out if it's dummied up, and then of course we take the blanks out too.
But where do they go?
They go back in a box.
Okay.
Or sometimes the dummies, they'll go on the cart, on the top of the cart.
So would you say that ammo's ever mixed,
The dummies and the blanks.
or just, various kinds of dummies?
Well, various kinds of dummies, yeah. Like I told you, all dummies are kind of weird and individual in their own way, pretty much. So yeah, they were mixed pretty regularly.
Okay. So it's not like, I say, hey, I take these rounds out of here, and they have to go back in that specific box because these are,
No, they just go in a dummy box,
okay.
in a box of dummies.
So are actors or crew members on set, are they advised to self-inspect weapons?
I'm not really sure.
It's interesting. This is an interesting point. We're really going to want to pay attention to this part right here, and you're going to really want to pay attention to what she says. I'm going to back this up a little bit. Let's listen to this here.
No, they just go in a dummy box, in a box of dummies.
So are actors or crew members on set, are they advised to self-inspect weapons?
I'm not really sure. Most of the time when they tell me, like, I'll go up to them and I'm like, here, and I show them it's clear, they'll be like, it's okay, I trust you. I say, don't trust me, go ahead and always check for yourself.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Are they required to self-check?
No, not really.
Okay.
But I do show them every time before I hand them off to them.
All right.
Show them that the gun's clear.
Have you seen any of them do their own safety checks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jensen does his own safety checks. Travis does his own safety checks. Travis Hamel. Devin was getting into doing his own safety checks because I taught him how to do it. So he was kind of getting better at that.
What would they do to do these checks?
Pull the hammer back to half cock, spin it around, and close it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not pulling it rounds out, checking them themselves?
No, not really.
Okay. Has it ever been common practice for actors to do?
I'm not really too sure.
What about on your last production? Did they ever do their own?
Nick Cage definitely did not. He barely really cared to train with the gun at all. A lot of actors sometimes will barely care to train with the gun at all and think that they'll just do it on the day.
Pretty exposing for Hollywood too. I mean, maybe they put in some, I don't know, the film. You're going to see something from the film organizations that they're going to have some certificate of training or some type of training before they handle any weapon. I mean, it's only natural to do that anyway. We got about another 5 minutes on this, and we'll be wrapping up this stream. I appreciate BC and Susan really being champs and hanging all the way through the stream this evening, and the many of you that have come and gone so far. So we'll finish this one up and we'll move on, and then I'll come up with some new topics for next week.
But yeah, no, not a lot of them take it out and check them.
Okay. When you or somebody gives a gun to an actor, do you tell them, like, hey, these are the rounds that are in this gun? Like, do you tell them it's hot or cold, and then what kind of ammo is in the gun?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah. So
I tell them, all right, so this is a clear gun if there's no dummies in it, right? If it's dummied up, I show them and I say this is dummied up, and usually I have the dummies that have no primer cap in there. So I'll show them that. And then if it's hot, I'll tell them it's hot, and I'll tell them 4/4 loads or 4/8 loads or
Whatever is in the gun.
yeah. And I let them know exactly how many is in there. And I put it exactly to where they'll shoot it and it'll go for that time.
Okay. Have you ever allowed access to anyone for any of these firearms?
No. Like for using them on set
For
or,
any purpose that,
well, I allow the,
outside of what their scope was?
no.
Like after hours, during lunch?
No.
See, and that this is going to be a very strong statement, and this is going to be something that we're going to have to see that comes out in trial. She is saying, Hannah is saying, that she doesn't allow anybody to touch the guns. And it's interesting that the person that's the woman that's doing the interrogation is asking, have you ever seen anybody use this outside of set, at lunch, whatever? And remember, there were reports on set that they were shooting at beer cans in between takes.
No.
You know, days that you guys weren't?
No, me, Nicole, and Sarah ate lunch together pretty regularly, pretty much every day, except for a couple of days where I would sit at another table or converse with some other people. But yeah, we all went to lunch together. We all
Pretty
locked
bad
them up
these days.
every day at
Pretty
lunch,
bad.
and we all locked them up every night. And I definitely didn't go to work on my weekends because why would I do that? You know,
Right.
I want to be there as least as possible. Yeah.
You get it.
Don't we all? Yeah. So yeah, last weekend I was in Denver the first weekend actually. So yeah, then the other one I was just relaxing at my hotel.
Yeah, this interview is a lot more eye-opening to actually what went on there, because you have it's showing you everything. It's showing you the cards. It is really bad, the lack of incompetence on that entire set, and that's why charges were filed. That's why both of them are seen.
Spend any time with anybody on the weekends?
Yeah,
Or
I
just-
spent some time with the nice boy at the front desk at my hotel. He was nice. I hung out with some crew members. We went bowling one time. And other than that, I didn't really hang out with people outside of set too much. And I kind of went and did my own thing in Denver the week before. We haven't really been there that long.
Okay. Did you go out, just crossed my mind, did you go out with the crew one night to, I think they said like some brewery?
Yeah. We went to the brewery downtown after bowling.
After bowling?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was on a day off though?
Yeah.
Did you have work the next day?
No, that was Monday. We worked. We had Monday, Tuesday off.
Okay. Do you remember which Monday it was?
It was the last
Probably trying to establish if there was any drinking on set.
Monday before the incident.
Okay.
So 20th was the incident, I believe, on Wednesday. 21st.
This might get cut off. I'm seeing it's only got about another minute, if that. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe this is the only piece of the interrogation that they allowed to be released. So real quick, let me just get to this. BC says she buried herself right there. She says that she was the only one responsible to check in. Yeah, exactly. This is bad. This is really, really bad. It's not looking for her.
So
The 11th,
the Monday.
Columbus Day, is that a holiday?
Or would that be the
No.
18th?
Yeah, it would be the 18th.
Okay. So you were off that Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
and then we're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you yourself, and not just on this set, but have you ever encountered a defective blank or?
A defective dummy.
Yeah.
So, I've had a couple of blanks that haven't gone off, but usually that's because the actor doesn't pull the hammer all the way back. And so it'll just be at half cock. And so
That's it. That's all we're going to get on that. That's probably all that they released for that second part of the interrogation. I'll see if I can hunt down and see if I can find maybe another piece of it, but I doubt it. I think that's probably all that's been redacted and I mean released. Why did I say redacted? That's been released. So, that being said, that gives us interesting insight to the different, headspace of this young lady right after the incident. And then, a couple of weeks later, I am going to end up shutting down this stream because it's late here on the East Coast. I have work tomorrow, and then we'll be back. Think of some new topics to come up with, do the live streams. Maybe I'll touch back on Koberger if there's any new information that comes up. What I really would love to do one of these nights is actually go over to Reddit and kind of read through some of the Brian Koberger Reddit posts and just kind of see what people are saying over there. So maybe I'll do that for my next stream, or if anything interesting comes up in the Alec Baldwin. I know there's a couple other trials going on, the Murdaugh trial. Maybe I'll do some of that. And that guy just, I'll tell you, I've been watching a lot of the clips on the Lauren Crime Network, and that guy just looks major guilty. The evidence is pretty mounting against him. Real quick, let me just get to this. Susan says, cheers for that, dear man. She says, bye, BC. Susan looks like she's going to be taking off. Not only one objection from her lawyer, it's crazy too. Maybe he was sleeping. Completely agree. I completely agree. And speaking of sleep, I'm going to go to sleep myself. I appreciate Susan and BC for hanging all the way through the stream this night. Look at, we're almost close to 3 hours. And I apologize. I got a little tippy there in the beginning of the show. I'm trying to go get my show going. Had some people that come over, try to interrupt it and be rude. But we have now moved on. I've explained everything about the channel, where it's going, where it's been, and we'll move forward. But like I always say, she says, I'm out shopping in the horrible heat. I'm going to end the stream for this evening. Ladies, gentlemen, have a wonderful evening and look forward to my live streams here coming up soon. Listen, I did post a survey on my community page. If you can go into that tab on my page and answer, what nights are applicable for you to watch my live streams. I want to try to captivate the largest audience that I can on the channel to watch that. So if you can go over and do a vote for me, I really would appreciate it. Gives me a little bit more information of what nights would be better to live stream on. So love all of you guys, and ladies, I will see you back here soon on the channel. I'm going to get some sleep, and I am out. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.